I don't think this is a grave, but I did forget my cadaver sniffing dog at home. I looked down and I saw this glass sticking up out of the ground, and I pulled it in the middle of all these rocks. Right here is two posts sticking up, and this would have been a door going into a building. You can. Now, I didn't say the earliest inhabitants of Oregon. I said the earliest inhabitants of the United States. Hi, I'm Brian from Northwest Bronco. Welcome back to the channel. So I am back out here for 2 days and 2 nights doing a little bit of exploring. And if I'm talking kind of weird, it's because it's like 28 degrees this morning and my lips and tongue are a little bit frozen. Most of the exploring we're going to be doing is going to be out here by Glass Butte, and I have a couple of things in mind. Now, if you don't know what Glass Butte is a place where the Native Americans back in the day used to come and collect all their obsidian. So if you're a rock hound and you like looking at obsidian and digging it up, you can legally collect obsidian here in Glass Butte. And if you want to know more about this area and more about Glass Butte, I do have a video somewhere down below on collecting legal obsidian in Oregon. And that's down below, and I also show you some of my favorite camp spots all around here. But we are not out here looking for obsidian. We are actually out here to find something else, and there's 2 things out here I'm looking for specifically. So one of the things I'm looking for is an archaeological dig site that supposedly dates back to the earliest settlers, or at least the earliest human inhabitants that we know of. In the country. We're out here by Glass Butte. And I'll tell you a little bit about that site when we get there. It's pretty interesting. And then another thing I want to find is I got a tip from one of my subscribers, and the tip was that there's a really cool little I don't know what you call it, a rock hound camp out here. And he gave me the general idea where to find it. And I went on Google Earth, did a little bit of searching, and I think I found where that spot is. So I had a little bit of time while I'm driving. I thought I'd touch a little bit on that car fire that I had about a month ago out here. So I've had a lot of people ask kind of what's the update to the whole thing, and I had to wait until the insurance company was all sorted out before I posted anything, but that's all been settled and everything's done. So I'm going to start working on putting that video together. And that video is going to tell the story of what happened. I have a little bit of footage of it, and then I'm going to tell you some of the gear that I've upgraded in the Bronco to help prevent fire type scenarios. And also what I learned from the insurance company since. So keep an eye out. That video, I promise you, is going to be coming out. I just need to put the whole thing together. All right, so we just pulled off of Highway 20 on the road that's going to take us to our next destination. But I wanted to stop here just real briefly to give you an overview of what this is that's behind me. All right, this is a great place to stop. Highway 20 is right there, and it's just right off the highway. So as you walk down into the camp here, you can see there's a couple of reader boards that'll tell you the whole history of this place. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about it, but briefly. So around 1937, when people were really struggling, the government actually made civilian conservation corps camps. And there's a couple of them out here. There's Camp Frederick Butte, and this is the Knapper Camp branch. And they're about, I'm going to say about 40 miles apart from each other. And I have videos on both of those camps down below my video pile. But what you see behind me is actually some of the remnants of the buildings that are still left from that camp. And you'll see there's one here, there's one down there, and a water tower right there. And you can actually go in these buildings and kind of look around inside. Well, if you want to know more about this camp, like I said, I have a video down below, but we got to get back in the Bronco so we can head out to that archaeological dig site. All right, I want to stop and show you guys something real quick. Just kind of interesting on our way out to our archaeological dig site that we're going to look for. Now, what all this debris behind me is, it's the dump from the Knapper Camp branch. So basically, when you find these, any kind of like a homestead or conservation corps camp, somewhere around there is going to be a big dump. And And you want to find those dumps because it's going to kind of show you kind of how they lived. It's going to show the dishes they used, the food they ate, you know, the supplies they used. And most of the time, the stuff that you'll find is kind of the same stuff in this area because they all shopped in the same place. Here's a piece of china. This would have been kind of the dishes or bowls they would have used in camp. Kind of a fun piece of glass here. Bottom of a mason jar, it looks like. Someday I want to find one of these cups that's not broken, because you'll find them and they'll be stuck in the ground like that. And you're like, ooh, is that a whole coffee cup? Nope, just part of one. All right, here's a big old chunk of a big old plate or serving dish of some kind. There we go, solder bottom can. So that's very early 1900s to late 1800s. Old wash bin back in here. This looks like the remnants of possibly a bed frame, maybe. And right here is a very cool old stove. Anyway, it's worth it to come out and explore these dumps because it really does teach you a lot about how they lived back in the day. But for now, we're gonna get back in the Bronco and head on up the road. All right, I didn't think I'd have to air down the tires today because we're not really doing any long trail driving. We're mainly just off some BLM roads, but the washboard's starting to get on my nerves. So I normally run these about 37 all the time, you know, on road, but I'm gonna drop these to about 29. And people are usually shocked that I don't run my tires that low. Normally people are like, dude, you should run them at like 22. And I normally run them like 25 to 29 to 32, depending on where I'm at. But the reason I don't run them any lower is simply because I have a single pump air compressor. I don't have a dual air compressor. So it takes me forever to fill them back up again. So while I'm doing this, I thought I'd mention what I use to air down. Some people have like these little valve stem things they can screw on and air them all down at once, but I like to keep things simple. So with the same air chuck from ARB here that I use to fill up the tires, I use to deflate them. And you just push down right here and it lets the air out. Where is the valve stem cover? Ah, there it is. Really the key to coming out here and exploring and, you know, having a quick setup and a quick takedown and all your gears minimal and quick is just simplicity. Really is the key to happiness. All right, we're almost to our main attraction here and I want to show you that rim rock right back there. Now that's what we're going to be exploring today, and that is going to be a site of an archaeological dig dating back to some of the earliest inhabitants in the United States. Now I didn't say the earliest inhabitants of Oregon, I said the earliest inhabitants of the United States. All right, let me give you a real brief history on what happened back here. Now back in 2011, University of Oregon students were working kind of a little bit farther south of here on an archaeological dig. And I guess the head guy would take this road back and forth to bring supplies to where they were working. And he saw this spot back here that had really tall sagebrush. And when you have tall sagebrush, that means kind of loose soil, possibly even beach sand. So one day he decided to have a little bit of fun and he decided to drive down and take a look at this site right back there. Now, if any of this information is wrong, because I know a lot of people work back here, if any of this information is wrong, feel free to put it in the comments below and correct me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So I guess some of the stuff they found back here is dated back to 15,000 years ago. And some of the stuff they found they think is even older than that. So some of those 15,000-year-old artifacts were like tools and things like that. They also found camel bones and they also found bison bones. And according to the head honcho of that entire expedition, he says that that actually was one time a flowing river. And he thinks that those rim rocks right there were considered a class 3 rapid. All right, I have no idea what we're gonna find back here, but let's hop in the Bronco and go explore that area and see what they were digging up. All right, made it to the site, and you know, I don't expect to find shit here because, you know, they were here digging, archaeological people were here digging. So what's left, I don't know. Well, this is it. This is where some of the earliest people in the United States lived. And all those holes you see here are places where they dug down to get a hold of those artifacts, where they found the tools, the scrapers, and the camel bones, bison bones. All those things were found right here where we're standing, and this is not a very big site. So look how tall the sagebrush is. I'm 6'4", and this stuff's like 8 feet tall. And I guess that's what drew the head honcho down to the spot, is that he was driving the road back and forth, saw this really tall sagebrush, and hoofed it down here, and that's when he found all these artifacts. Now, according to that guy, he said that when you have tall sagebrush like this, it can mean a lot of times that the soil's nice and loose, and that's a good place to dig for archaeological stuff. Now, I don't know shit about archaeology, so once again, if I got any of that wrong, put it in the comments below. But I was just sitting here on top looking down at the site, and I was picturing this when water was flowing through here, and this would have been a huge rapid. Well, I walked a big loop around this place, and it's been picked clean. There's literally nothing interesting here except for what we're seeing here. But there is a pretty cool feeling just knowing that we've been to the place that people lived 15,000 years ago, some of the earliest inhabitants in the country. All right, out of the way, ladies. All right, so we're currently right here. We're going to go back to Highway 20 and all the way over here to Glass Butte. We're going to camp tonight, and our next marker is somewhere in this area. I just don't know where. I kind of have a general idea where I think I've found where this thing is. All right, now somewhere in that hole is supposedly like an old camp that someone built up there that's made of stone, and there might actually be a grave up there too. I'm not sure. But I think I've located it. He gave me the general area, but I went on Google Earth and I think I may have found where it is. So that's going to be our last stop, our last scheduled stop for the day, and then we're going to camp. But if I find anything along the way between now and then, because it's going to be about an hour before I get there, I will stop and show it to you. All right, so for those of you that are amazingly still watching this video, I got to show you this spot that might be the best view I've ever seen from a camp spot. So here's the Bronco, and I came up this little road. It was kind of, it's not on the map. It was just a road that hasn't been driven on a long time, and those are usually my favorite roads to drive. So I followed it up. It's short, stopped here, and this old juniper tree is where this thing ends. And right here is this really old fire pit that hasn't been used in quite a long time. But that's not the thing. The thing is, if you were to camp here, this would be your view. You can see for hundreds of miles all the way out. Absolutely incredible. So I was just kind of going down the hill, heading back to Highway 20 above Knapper Camp Ranch, and about another half mile above the main dump, there's another dump here. It's kind of small, but I thought I'd look at it. And in the sagebrush right here, I found this unsprung trap. So this trap was sitting right in here in the bushes, and the chain is still on it. And there's a little tag on it that says A8 and then 12 on the back. And this was tied around the juniper or the sagebrush here. So just thought I'd stop and show it to you. I tried to spring it, but I couldn't get it to spring. But that's okay. I'm just going to leave it here upside down and let it be. So as usual, I found some crap on the side of the road and I had to stop and look at it. And I was only like maybe 20 yards off the road. And I looked down and I saw this glass sticking up out of the ground, and I pulled it out, and it's a whole bottle that still has the cap on it. And this is only the second whole bottle I've ever found being out here that still has the cap on it. It's not broken. These are hard to find, and just kind of got lucky on this one. So after the dump, I was coming down the hill here, and I look over on the side and I see this long rock wall going all the way down there in the bottom. I'm wondering, what is that? So I walked over here to see what it is. Turns out it's the old wagon road. So if I stand here in the middle, you can see that they threw the rocks on either side, a little bit of an indentation. But this is the road that went from the Knapper Camp branch all the way up here before the new road here was built. All right, let me show you why it's important to get out and look at stuff, because right here is a whole bunch of rocks, just big rocks piled up. And I thought, it's probably just a pile of rocks. But then I noticed one fence post sticking up right there. So I walked out here, and I'll show you what I found. So in the middle of all these rocks, right here is two posts sticking up. And this would have been a door going into a building. You can see the outline of the building right there. That rock wall comes all the way around. Well, shit, I managed to get in the car and sit on my tripod, and I broke off one of the legs. Well, luckily, we only have one thing left on this trip, and that is that stone wall looking thing that someone sent me. So we're going to go take a look at that, and then I'm going to head to camp. So the subscriber that gave me this location didn't really give me the exact location. He just said like the general 10-mile area, so I can do my own research to find out where this place is, which I'm thankful for because I enjoy doing the research. So when I was doing my searching, I did find a little small anomaly kind of up here in the mountains. So we're going to swing up here, and I think that's going to be what we're looking for. All right, if my research is correct, we should be coming up on it right around these next couple of corners. It looks like we have kind of a grave-like looking thing right over there. But what I really want to see is over here in these trees, and there's obsidian everywhere right here. This is all obsidian flakes at my feet, which kind of makes sense because we are right by Glass Butte. Somebody put a lot of work into this structure here. It's like we have a fire pit. This isn't very old. Kind of a homemade table right here. And as we swing around, we're going to kind of look at some of the graffiti. M.A. Nature with a heart. Nice little carving there. Another fire pit right here. Looks like we have a date right there. That date is 6/12/08. Kind of a clever little drawing there. Little circle there. Here's kind of a work table someone built right here. Some glass. It looks like melted glass. Different types of obsidian. A little bit of graffiti on there, but I can't quite make out what it says. Here's looks to be a can crusher right here. Looks like somebody cleverly changed what that said. And here you go. Here's a smiley face made of bullets. So the camp is up there. Here's some holes where people were probably digging for obsidian, there and there. And right over there is a marker. We're going to check that out. All right, so I have this little selfie stick thing going on here because I sat on my tripod and broke it earlier in the car. But you can see here we have Jim and we have Sunday. Now this isn't very old. I can see the screws on the back and they're modern day screws. And I don't think this is a grave, but I did forget my cadaver sniffing dog at home. To the subscriber that sent me this general location, I thank you. This is a very cool little find. And what I think it is, I think it's like a Knapper Camp where somebody came in more modern days, built this thing as kind of their little area to do some rock hounding. So Jim and Sunday, if you're the builders of this place back here, I got to give you 2 thumbs up. So hopefully I didn't give away the location too much and where this is, because I do want to make sure this stays preserved because they did put a lot of work into it, and I hate to see it get destroyed. Well, since my tripod's broken, I can't really film anything in camp, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off right now. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Maybe subscribe for more Bronco content. We'll see you next time.